Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Sincerely Agile with Mary. Now, as for me today, I'm just full of gratitude. Gratitude for another day of life. Gratitude for another day of just, being healthy and having a sound mind. Now, on this show, this is a place where we want to learn, unlearn, and relearn, make change agents of ourselves. And above all, it's a place where we want to, be awesome and wholesome together. And as always, I am your host. And today we're looking at a beginner's mindset. And I have the amazing Mariama Souare joining me on this very important conversation. Hello, Mariama.
Hello, Miss Mary.
How are you?
I am well, thank you.
It's so good to have you on the show today. How has your
Thank-
Sunday been?
It's been really good. It's been relaxing, cooking above all, but relaxing overall.
Cooking for the family. What time is it at your
Yes.
end right now?
Right now it's about 2 o'clock, 2 p.m.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
It's so good to have you on the show. Now, we stream on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we're going to be having people joining us as always. And I can see someone already. We've got Ronke on LinkedIn. We've got Arin Ologunleko also on LinkedIn. Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, Mariama, let me read your bio so that our audience can get to know you. We have another LinkedIn user right there. So I'm just going to read your bio so that our audience get to know who you are, the amazing Mariama. Right. Mariama is originally from Guinea, West Africa, but she grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. She worked in corporate America, education, nonprofit, and the federal government, and now she is in information technology. Mariama is a former English for speakers of other language, that is the ESOL teacher. She earned her undergraduate in psychology and a master's in education. Mariama is a certified life coach, certified by the International Coach Federation, credentialed project management, professional PMP, and a certified Scrum Master. She is currently a senior Scrum Master at Lightspeed. Mariama has a beginner's mindset. She loves learning everything about agility and sharing it with the world. Mariama aspires to collaborate with Agilists globally for a better impact in every aspect of our lives. She is curious and she loves learning, traveling, meditating, reading, and doing Tai Chi. Mariama, you are welcome to Sincerely Agile with Mary.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
When I saw that you do Tai Chi, at first I thought it was, Kung Fu and all of that. And I'm thinking, it's such a pleasure to have, a privilege to have you in my corner so that if anybody messes with me, I just come for you and say, go sort them out. And then I looked it up and then I realized Tai Chi was all about, this graceful exercise. So tell us a little bit about that. What is that all about?
Oh yes, Tai Chi. It's about self-centering. Being mindful of your energy and moving your energy and moving gracefully. Yes, some of those moves come from the kung fu, definitely. However, this is much more of like a slower. And I decided to learn Tai Chi during the pandemic, just to be aware of my energy and be centered. I always loved Tai Chi. I always wanted to learn. And so I have a neighbor who has been practicing for decades, and he was willing to be my teacher. So,
Oh, that is so awesome. And all of
yes,
this happened during the pandemic, right?
yes, yes,
There's just something about this pandemic. It's such a paradox. I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about, oh, this was what I did during the pandemic. I started this show during the pandemic, right? I did a whole lot of stuff during the pandemic. So, in a way, it was like a blessing in disguise, isn't it? As
yes.
terrible as it was a blessing in disguise. So, talking about Tai Chi, you've talked about centering yourself. So, it's about being calm, right? Is it like a journey of discovery, finding yourself?
It
Finding
is
calm.
definitely it's a journey of discovery because
Right,
as you're moving, paying attention to those beautiful moves. Your mind is not somewhere else. Your mind
right.
is in the present moment, and
In the
you are
present.
in your body. When you're in
Hmm.
your body, you're out of you're not stuck in your head, in the narratives, the chatters that goes on constantly.
You
And
you
that's,
take yourself away from the noise,
yes,
essentially. Hmm.
yes.
I might try this Tai Chi thing, you know. I just might try it. It sounds good already. More people joining us. We've got and Julie Shirin, excited to be here. Nice to have you here. We've got Michael here. That's my son. And we've got Ibrahima Kamara. Thank you all so much for joining us and to support Mariama here this evening. Now, we're talking about the beginner's mindset, right? But before we get on to that, we want to get to know you more. You know, I know you are an agilist. I know you work as a senior scrum master. But tell us, how did your agile journey actually started? And I ask this question, especially if my guests are in that agile space, in the agile space, because I feel we all have, a story to tell about how we started, and it just might, encourage someone else. It just might. So let's hear it from you.
All right. Thank you for that question. How did my agile journey started? It actually started slightly before the pandemic hit.
Right.
I wanted to grow professionally. And I remember having a conversation with my husband, and he said, "Why don't you go for the PMP?" I said, "What?" He said, "The PMP." I was like, "What are you talking about? You're speaking a foreign language to me. Please translate that in words I can understand." He's like, "You never heard of the PMP?" I was like, "Clearly not." He's like, "You have been doing project management in so many years in so many different industry. This is the future." I said, "Yeah, okay." Tabled it, right? And so I
Right.
was having another conversation with a colleague who told me, "Oh yeah, I'm studying for the PMP." So for me, it was a sign right there. Not
Right.
only my husband had shared
Yeah.
with me, he nudged me, and hearing it from another friend who's preparing to study for the PMP, I
Somehow the universe, it was as though the universe aligned the two people to bring that message to you.
yes, exactly. So henceforward, I gathered all the materials. I started studying for the PMP.
Hmm.
And while I was studying for the PMP, there were a lot of agile words, terminologies, and methods that were completely new to me. It wasn't a traditional waterfall project management. So while I was studying, I started learning about Scrum, which is a methodology that is used
Hmm.
in Agile.
Yeah.
I remember reading the Scrum Master role. It was a light bulb moment. I thought, what? A role exists that combines what my soul is drawn to: teaching, training, facilitation, coaching. Sign me up. So, to make the story short, I passed the PMP and I proceeded to earn my certification as a Scrum Master and a slew of other certificates actually.
Hmm.
That was the beginning, my
Hmm.
journey basically of Agile. Even though Agile, as we know, it's a philosophy. It's much
Absolutely.
larger than just frameworks. It's
It's much
really
more.
deeper. It's much deeper than the methodology that is
Absolutely.
being used.
Absolutely. So how did you land your first role?
I landed my first role through a mutual friend who
Right.
contacted me on LinkedIn,
Right.
and through
Right.
just a startup, a small organization that's based in San Diego.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah.
What an interesting story. And what I like about this story is what you actually said about the light bulb moment, because I was actually going to ask you a question about your light bulb moment. You said when you read the role, the description of the role of the Scrum Master, it was like, this is what I've been doing all along. I already have maybe 70% of what they're looking for. And that is a, powerful message to our audience today, those who are perhaps watching live right now, and some others who will perhaps be watching the recording. That coming into this agile space, most of the time, you already have what it takes. If you're a teacher, if you're a trainer, if you're a facilitator of any kind, whatever skills you can transfer those skills into the agile space, because agile is a philosophy. So that is a great story there, and I hope it resonates with people and that they can see that this is a space they can also come into Great story. Thank you very much. My next question was going to be, what was your light bulb moment with Agile? And you sort of answered that. And for me, if I can just share mine with you, for me, my light bulb moment was the fact that, like you said, this aligns with me. It aligns with who I am. I've been a consultant for almost 16 years now. And one of the things I did a lot of as a consultant was I promoted emotional intelligence and social intelligence, emotional social intelligence, if you like. In fact, some people tagged me Madam EI because I would always bring emotional intelligence into the equation. So a lot of my clients would call me Madam EI. And when I got to this agile space, I'm like, whoa, where has this been? Why haven't I been in this space? Why haven't I embraced it all this while? So I extended my portfolio into the agile space only about 7 years ago, and I thank God for that opportunity, because for me, my light bulb moment was what this could potentially do for humanity, what
Mhm.
it could do for Africa, what it could do for governance. That was my light bulb moment. And I also know that you have some of those aspirations. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because I remember, some of the conversations we've had and how you've told me there's so much more you want to do. And hopefully today you are having a taste of what it feels like to go live. And I'm hoping that at some point maybe you'll do something like this. But tell us, what are your aspirations?
Yes, thank you. That's my aspirations. I feel the same way. I feel
Mm,
like, oh my goodness, where was Agile? It's such a human centric. That's the only
mm-hmm,
word I can think of. It's really people focused,
mm,
and it's reaching people
yeah,
where they're at and helping that narrative for that matter. Or it's the attitude is how we approach our work and how we see
yeah.
things around us. To
Mm-hmm,
answer your questions, what are my aspiration? Thanks to you, you did set the seed about Edu Scrum as it's completely new education using Scrum, the Scrum framework. I am intrigued. I have done my research. I've connected with other people who are actually practitioner on LinkedIn. So I'm really hoping that you, by giving me this platform, I will connect with other. I'm going to be specific, francophone agilist to see how we can
right.
collaborate to make
Yeah,
impact. Because I'm passionate about education. I am passionate
absolutely.
about coaching.
Yeah,
I am passionate to hold in the space for any
absolutely.
individual who want
Mm-hmm,
to aspire to make changes within, whether it's inward or uh, helping, showing them how to use the EduScrum framework, for example,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to make their classroom project move forward
Absolutely.
in teaching the students how to collaborate and
How
how
to
to
collaborate.
communicate and
Yeah,
have an outcome at the end of their project and present it with
absolutely.
confidence.
Collaboration is the key word there. And for me, that's the thing I really took away from the agile way of working. How can we bring people together? Because at the end of the day, one person can only do so much. But by the time two people come together, now let's even extend that. By the time we have a team, the force in that team, the collective knowledge, the collective wisdom, it's just amazing what we can do when we come together and we truly align and we are all focused on the same objectives, if you like, the same goal. And of course, we need that in Africa right now. We need to start teaching our children differently. So when I read your profile, when I was in America and we were talking, and I saw how passionate you were with education, I was like, yeah, that's something you could potentially be looking into. And I'm happy that that is something you feel excited about. So that is great. That is great. So where are you right now in your journey, and we already talked about some of your aspirations, but how is your agile journey going? Again, I try to use this opportunity to encourage people to come into this space. How is it going for you?
It is going well. I am learning a lot. As we both know, when you work with a team, that team is unique.
Yeah,
It's what colleagues are unique. So you're constantly learning and
yeah,
growing
yeah,
through the challenges and through meeting colleagues where they're at, meeting
yeah,
team members where they're at,
yeah,
and holding the space and moving forward. And of
absolutely.
course, seeing the greater, larger picture, just like what
Mm,
you said, having that objective, no
yeah,
matter how the tough happen, how challenging it is,
Mm-hmm.
you know there's an end goal,
Mm-hmm.
so you're able to move together to achieve that goal.
Absolutely.
Because once you
Absolutely.
collaborate and achieve that goal, it's natural. It's human nature to connect and to
Mm-hmm.
appreciate each other. That
Mm-hmm.
small high five or the elbow, giving
Mm-hmm.
each other kudos, pat on the
Yeah.
back.
Mm-hmm.
So I am learning, and I'm looking forward to learning even more about EduScrum,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm hoping to collaborate with even some teachers here in the States
Mm-hmm.
to train them how to implement the EduScrum
Mm-hmm.
and be there for their coach and support
Mm-hmm.
them, and then perhaps make it a presentation about that, do a collaboration in
Fantastic.
presenting and see how it is implemented, how it impacted the students in
Fantastic.
embracing the agile mindset.
Mindset. It is so, so, so important. Thank you so much. Now we're looking at a beginner's mindset. Why is it important, okay, and rewarding to embrace a beginner's mindset? Because I felt, I mean, this is a topic that I believe our audience will appreciate. And I believe, they will perhaps take a thing or two out of this conversation here today. So this is the core of our conversation today: a beginner's mindset. Why is it important and rewarding to embrace it? And I know you are someone with a beginner's mindset. So,
Yes, thank you. The beginner's mindset is so
mm,
important. It's important because it allows us to see different perspectives.
mm-hmm,
It gives us the opportunities to see possibilities.
mm,
It gives us an opportunity to set aside, I'm putting the hat, to put this
mm,
aside, the experts, the subject
mm,
matter experts, and
mm-hmm,
be to show up and be willing to look at a challenge, a problem in a different angle or angles.
mm-hmm,
Because there are many different ways
mm-hmm,
to come up with a solution if
mm-hmm.
you have the beginner's mindset.
Right.
Because having the beginner mindsets, it's like a child. Children ask questions naturally. What is this? Why is this working this way? How can I figure this out? They're not locked in like, oh, I know this, so I'm not going to give it a. I've been trained for the past 12 years. So I'm not going to look at that. That's beneath me. Or I've tried this before. It's not going to work. But kids are naturally curious. They want to know. So having that beginner's mindsets
Mm-hmm,
helps you improve your possibilities for growth. Having a growth mindset, having different solutions instead of having a set of expectations and locking oneself in
mm-hmm.
for that outcome.
Wow. So we essentially need to be children again.
Yes.
We need to have a child's mindset because, like you said, children are constantly asking questions. Why is this like this? Why is that like that? And sometimes adults can even find that frustrating. You're asking too many questions. But quite frankly, as adults, we need to have, you know that sort of approach to life, because like you said, if we don't, then we are limiting ourselves in a number of ways, right? So you talked about how it gives us a different perspective. You talked about solution. If we come with that expert mindset as opposed to a beginner's mindset, then what we are saying is there's nothing to learn, right?
Yes.
There's
Yes.
nothing new to learn.
Nothing new to learn. And you're locked in. And that fuel the chatter, the
Mm,
narrative in the mind. And
mm,
it's like a fixed mindset to a
mm-hmm,
certain extent because you're
mm-hmm.
blocking yourself from stepping back and
Right,
seeing it from a different angle.
right. Let's see. For our audience, if you have any questions, please post your questions. I don't see any questions just yet. Just one second. Okay. Let me just see who else has joined us. We've got, okay, Stella da Silva is here. Hello, Stella. Nice to have you here. And my mom from Arizona is watching. So back to my questions, right? Now, um, being a child again will always not be an easy one to do, right? So I'm just looking at my questions here. It's not going to be easy to be a child when you're supposed to be an expert. So let's bring this back to the adult world, where you have been employed, you have been recruited as an expert. How then can you come in with a beginner's mindset? That must be a difficult thing to do. What do you think? And that's
Indeed.
my next question.
Yes, it is indeed. It's tough
Mm-hmm,
to step back.
mm-hmm,
I believe the key is being aware of that.
mm-hmm,
Being aware of that, I believe, gives you already a moment to be able to step back. If you're thinking, well, I'm being paid to be the expert. However, I
mm-hmm,
don't have the answer. I don't have the solution.
mm-hmm,
So what can I do?
mm-hmm,
And for me, what I do, not not only Tai Chi, but I
mm-hmm.
also take a walk.
Okay.
Take a walk and listen to the expectations that
Mm-hmm,
I'm setting. What is the expectation I'm setting for this particular challenge?
mm-hmm,
And then ask myself, why do I have that expectation? Not to lock myself in. As I'm asking those questions to myself, then I'm able to answer my own questions,
right,
either after Tai Chi or after taking a mindful walk,
right.
meditative walk. That allows me to step out of my, I need to come up
Expert
with a
zone.
solution, expertise. I need to
Yeah,
show up now. I need to come up with
yeah,
the answers now.
yeah.
Just stepping away,
Mm-hmm,
even giving myself a moment to breathe,
mm-hmm.
to be able to center myself, naturally something else will arise as a beginner's mindset. And also sometimes admitting to myself, I don't have the answers for this particular challenge right now.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
alone, it gives me a moment of pausing
Mm-hmm.
to to decrease the expectations that I'm setting myself, that I need to come up with a response. I need to show up as an
So,
expert and
yeah,
know it all.
I know it all. Yeah, I mean that's a very good response there because it takes a lot of awareness to show up in that stance of a beginner's mindset, and it also takes educating people around us also, because some people would really want you to just go that route of being an expert and giving them the solution. So I guess if that is what is expected of us, and if we have that, we can do that. But when we look at the environment in which we're operating today, like we say, Mariama, it's a VUCA world, right? It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex, and it's ambiguous. And the demands of the business environment is too much for one person. So if we come back to the leadership space, how can one person carry all that burden? It's too much, right? It
Yes.
is too much. So, like you said, we need to step into that vulnerable space to be able to even say, I don't know.
Yes.
And even when you know, because we need to make the distinction here, there are times when you don't know,
Yes.
and you need to be able to show up, in that vulnerable space to say, you know what, I don't know. Let's
Yes.
figure this out together. And you could also be in the space where you actually do know. Okay, you really, really do know. But hey, you have got to step back. Okay, and that is what you're saying about being in the moment, being aware, and to be able to step back to say, let's figure this out together. Because after all, people will buy into what they have co created, right? People will buy into what they have co created. That's number one. Number two, there's also better options coming up as opposed to that one narrow option of the expert. And that for me is what I'm picking from what you're saying. So making that distinction, even when we know, sometimes we don't know, but even
Yes.
when we know, we need to be able to step back and see what the system, what the team can throw up, because that is a team of people that are very intelligent and have so much to offer, isn't it? Now, Mariama, let's take this away from the professional arena. Let's slightly talk from a more general perspective. Even things like marriage, there is, I think I saw a statistic somewhere that second marriages have a higher divorce rate. Why is that? Why is that?
That's
When,
a
when,
great question.
honestly, so because I was just thinking about it just now, second marriages have a higher divorce rate. Because when we talk about a beginner's mindset, when we don't have a beginner's mindset, it's because we're bringing past experience, okay? Past experience into our consciousness, to guide the present. So, past experience to guide the present. So, when second marriages are not working, what do you think is happening there?
Well, it's just like you said. They did not get a chance to pause, to release what didn't work, and
Yeah,
gain new insight
yeah,
moving forward.
yeah,
It
yeah,
takes it takes an enormous effort. It takes
yeah.
an enormous effort and consistency, self awareness to be aware of the limitations that we bring,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the behaviors that didn't serve us,
Yeah,
and it takes a lot of work. And like you said, it takes working with not just one person, but a village, really, to make the change.
yeah,
Because those who observe you have they can give you feedback on
yeah.
your blind spots,
Absolutely,
what you're not aware of. And if you're
absolutely.
susceptible and you have the beginner's mindset and open to hear
Mm-hmm,
someone who cares about you, who wants to take
mm-hmm,
the time to give
mm-hmm,
you feedback or suggestions to make things better or to make your marriage better, that is incredible. That's a gift. It's
mm-hmm,
truly a gift.
mm-hmm.
And for the second marriage for to work, I believe it's be working at what was not working,
Oh, was not
realizing
working.
what was not working, and embracing new behaviors,
Mm-hmm,
embracing new way of communication,
mm-hmm.
embracing whatever was not working, because what was not
Absolutely,
working is data, it's
absolutely.
information.
It
And it's the
was. Yeah,
same
it
thing with
is.
work. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It is data.
Yeah, and you know what? I deliberately took this away from the professional domain so that we don't think this mindset is only limited to that environment. It is about what happens in our everyday life, even in the way we relate to one another, with one another as family members or as friends. I mean, something as simple as even I was on holiday with my daughter recently, and you remember you and I spoke when I was in Atlanta.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was traveling, within America for about 6 week period, traveling and working at the same time. And my nephew took us to we all met with his family at the botanical garden in Atlanta. And there's a restaurant in within the botanical garden in Atlanta, and we had a steak. It was, I think, a filet. It's called filet mignon or something,
Uh-huh.
and it was the best. And when I say best, the best I ever had. I mean, I'm not someone who eats steak a lot, but occasionally I would treat myself to a steak when I go out. I'm not a beef person on a daily basis, but when I want a good steak, I get a good steak. And for me, that was the best steak I ever had. And I mean that ever, ever,
Wow.
ever, ever, ever had. So I was in Greece recently, in Rhode Island, and I saw this restaurant, and do you have filet mignon? They said no. We went to another, and as soon as we got to another restaurant, they said they had it. I practically just jumped in, and that is me expecting that same level of satisfaction. I was expecting that same level of enjoyment and satisfaction. I was like, yes, yes, that's it, that's it, that's what I want. And we went in there, beautiful restaurant, rooftop restaurant in Greece, and then the filet came. It was disappointing. Now, for my daughter, it wasn't disappointing at all. I'm trying to make a point here. It wasn't that the steak was bad.
Mm.
And she said to me, Mommy, stop talking about this Atlanta steak, please. Otherwise, you will not enjoy this steak. And I did not enjoy that steak because I had set such high expectations with this other restaurant in Atlanta. And the same goes for our everyday life. So if we
Mm-hmm.
want to enjoy what's in front of us, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new relationship, whether it's just enjoying the moment, we need to be in the moment. We need to be in the moment.
Yes,
Um,
it's so powerful.
we need to be in the moment. So I learned a lesson from my daughter there. And then when I was preparing for this show, I remember the encounter with my daughter about the fillet. And I'm like, that is so true. That
It
is so, so
is.
true. We must be in the moment. We can't be making comparisons,
Yes.
otherwise we lose what's in front of us. So
Yes.
we've got a question. What makes Agile, this is from Ibrahima, what makes Agile work for a team that is new to that? I think he got it wrong there, but he said, let me see. He said, I meant while migrating from Waterfall to Agile. Okay. So what makes Agile work for a team migrating to from Waterfall to Agile? What makes it work? Is that what you're saying, Ibrahima? What makes it work? Because your question is not quite clear. What makes Agile work for teams migrating from Waterfall to Agile? Do you want to answer that?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Irahima. Yes, it's a lot. One, meeting the team where they're at.
Hmm.
As a scrum master, you have to put yourself out there, meeting individual team members, having the conversation, get to know them at a personal level. Just like
Mm-hmm.
this particular conversation I'm having with Mary. She's asking conversations, she's getting to know me and my perspective, my experiences. And it's the same thing with team members. Ask simple questions. Know what are their aspirations, what are their goals, what are their challenges. And for
Mm,
me, when I work with a team, I always ask what will make me a successful scrum master in as your servant leader in the team. And invariably each individual will tell me what are their pain points. That's what it
yeah,
comes down to.
yeah.
What can I do? How can I serve you in this role? And with that, also helps to build a psychological safety
Mm-hmm.
with the team members.
Mm-hmm.
If they see you lead with action, with respect, they're more likely to open up when big challenges, or if even if they have any challenges or anything that they want to share, whether it's good, whether it's positive or not positive. But creating that connection and holding the space for the individuals, I think,
Mm.
goes a long way
It
in
does.
helping them go from the waterfall to whatever framework, agile framework that the
Mm-hmm.
team is starting to use or they're using.
Absolutely. I mean, the agile ways of working, Ibrahima, as you know, we need to be very people centered. It's not about doing agile. I mean, we need to do agile if you want to think about all the ceremonies and all of that. But more importantly, we want to be agile. And like Mariama said, we want to meet people where they are. This is not about, uh, um, mandating stuff. And she talked about pain points. What problem are they trying to solve? As an organization, as a team, what problem are they trying to solve? Meeting them at their point of need. That is what, moving towards agility is all about. And of course, it's a never ending journey. And Grace says, sorry, Omozua. Oh, Omozua, I haven't seen you forever. Omozua says, expectations. The ones we set without checking on how we have blocked coming possibilities are a source of so much disappointment. Absolutely. How we disappoint ourselves on a daily basis because we're setting the wrong expectations. Thank you so much, Omozua, and thank you for joining us today. Right, so back to my banners. What other questions do I have for you? Okay, now limitations of an expert mindset. You've touched on that, but please reiterate, what are the limitations of having an expert mindset? And I think Omozua just touched on one there with block possibilities. Yes. So what are the limitations of the expert mindset?
You limit the so many possibilities, different
Mm,
answers,
yeah, we limit
and what you
ourselves.
yes, and what you shared earlier too.
Mm,
You may be the subject matter experts in
mm-hmm,
some things, but not to everything.
mm-hmm,
So take
mm-hmm,
it to the team.
mm,
Take it to the team and talk about it because several minds are better than one.
yeah, yeah.
And having that dialogue and conversation will put in the expert mindset depending on the challenge
Mm-hmm,
helps you with the limitations.
yeah. So I think with the expert mindset, sometimes you could be successful in the short term, maybe in the short term, but in the long term, what might success look like for you? And I
Mhm.
think this is where we can really limit ourselves as an expert. And I was just also thinking, Mariama, as you were answering that, could this also have something to do with ego?
Oh, well, yes, big time. Because the ego wants to be recognized. It wants to shine.
Yeah, yeah,
I am the expert. I am on top of my game. As
yeah,
such, it also limits your view.
absolutely. And a lot of organizations have suffered from that. A lot of organizations have suffered from that, where we're looking towards a leader as the hero,
Yes.
where we organizations have that culture of, leader as hero, leader is the one with the answers. And today, I don't know if you see it also, in as much as we talk about agile ways of working. I was reading an article recently, and I was actually listening also to Agile Alliance podcast, and they were talking about how it is so disappointing that we're talking about agile transformations, but they are not as successful as they ought to be. A lot of agile transformations are not successful.
Yes.
And for a framework that is built on mindset, that is fundamentally a philosophy and a mindset, you would think that that would have propelled organizations in the right direction. But we're still having this ego problem and this expert mindset within our organizations. How much of that do you see? Because I see that too. How much of that do you see? And what can we do as agilists to help reduce that?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. I I think it's truly it's both from top down willingness to take the change on.
Hmm.
It's not one individual that make the transformation.
Mm-hmm.
It really takes the entire organization.
Yeah.
And realizing that there's a lot of chaos in the beginning. It's messy because we're changing our ways of thinking, of being, and
Mhm.
routines. As we know, that takes up so much energy in our brains. It's much
Yeah.
easier to take the same route to make it to work than to try
Mm-hmm.
something else new. It is
Yeah.
much easier to eat the same thing than to think about a new recipe.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier. I believe organizations, including the leaders,
I'm
need.
losing you. I'm losing you, Mariama. Are you still there?
Okay, can you hear me?
Okay, that's
Yes.
better now. That's better. Okay.
Okay. All right. What I was saying is that thing the leaders, both the entire organization, the leaders, and everyone
Hmm.
involved takes effort. It takes a lot of
Mariama, I
work.
can hardly hear you,
Um,
Mariama. You were very clear before. I'm losing you
okay.
now.
Can
Um,
you? I'm still connected. Is this better?
you're still. I can still see you, but your voice, your audio is not. Okay, go ahead now. Go ahead now.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
What I was saying, the changes to going through the
Mm-hmm.
transformation,
Mm-hmm.
it takes an entire organization. It's not just,
Absolutely.
or if a team or let's say a department decided to go through the process, it takes an
Mm-hmm.
entire team to
Mm-hmm.
to uh, to embrace the change, and that
Mm-hmm.
means being aware of how you're approaching your work. How are
Mm-hmm.
you? What are your thought process?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it takes energy. It takes effort to change the routines that our brains it's so used to doing, in so
Mm-hmm.
used to way of working. I believe giving the ourselves the grace to know that we're not gonna make it perfect the first
Yeah.
time, the second time, the
Right.
fourth time, or the
Right.
fifth time. How
Yeah.
and also the organization to support failure, if you will, because failure is
Yeah.
data, and
Yeah.
allowing team members to the space to say what's not working and then come up with
Mm-hmm.
what is not what can we do, how can we pivot,
Yeah.
but everyone is under
Creating a safe
pressure.
space, creating that safe space, but it has to start with the leaders. And I think for me, I feel one of the reasons, agile in most organizations will not work is if the leadership is not really changing their behavior. Because at the end of the day, it's not, I mean, for a lot of leadership circles, it's like agile is what you do to everybody else but us.
Yes.
Okay, so agile is what you do to the teams, the IT
Mhm.
department and the teams. It's
Yeah.
not what you do to us leadership. We remain who we are and what we are, and we keep doing what we have to do. So for me, until, like you said, it takes everybody within the organization, and quite frankly, it should start with leadership. So a lot of agile transformations will continue to be problematic until leadership really starts to change their behavior and take that pressure off of themselves,
Mhm.
that they don't have to be under that pressure. But you can also, it's a bit of a catch 22, because also there's pressure from the market, there's
Mhm.
pressure on this leadership
Mhm.
to take this organization to success in a very short space of time. So
Yes.
because of the pressure of for success in a very short space of time, you find that that pressure is transmitted downwards. Okay,
Yes.
and they are not ready. They think they are the expert. They think they have all the answers. But like you rightly said, I'm hoping that as we make more and more progress in the agile ways of working, that more and more leadership will see the need for them to stop and
Yeah.
do away with, like you said, all that ego and wanting to shine and all of that, and really, really, should I say, leverage the workforce. Because let me tell you one thing, how I see it. You've employed all these amazing people, and you're not leveraging what they bring to the table. What a waste.
Yes.
What a waste.
Tremendous waste. I would like to comment on one of the things that you shared. I believe the organization, in order for them to go fast, they need to slow down.
Yeah.
They need, and that goes back to the beginner's mindset. You got
Yeah.
to be able to slow down in order to go fast. And it's counterintuitive. However, it's that bringing the community, bringing in the team, and
Mm.
having a conversation, and then taking action based on
Mm-hmm.
that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
making it visible, and
Mm-hmm.
holding the space, knowing that people have the fear, but having not punish, not punished. If people are saying, I'm scared, I don't know if this is going to work, or I'm trying it, it didn't work. I think there's a lot of fear of
Mm.
losing one's job, losing
Yeah.
one's title, losing
Yeah.
you name it. I
Yeah.
think until we embrace that inwardly, it's not
Mm-hmm.
going to happen because it's inward.
Absolutely. And
And
like you said, we need to stop to go faster. But guess what? They think we need to go faster and faster and faster. And what will happen is we crash. That is
yes,
exactly what it is. We need to slow down to really take in what is happening. What is the system telling us? What is emerging here? To really leverage that which is in front of us. But because of the pressure from stakeholders, from the market, we think going faster and faster and faster is the answer. But I like what you said. We need to slow down to go faster. Again, that comes from a beginner's mindset. And I think Ibrahim likes the way you answered his questions. He said exactly on point. Thank you very much. And Grace says, when the expert has a closed mind and refuses to learn from his team or acknowledge their ideas, then it's the beginning of the end. Absolutely. When you think you're the hero, you're the one with all the answers, especially in our world today. The world is so complex. I mean, look at the organizations that have failed. It's exactly for this problem. That's why they failed. They failed because of that kind of mindset. Oh, we know it all. Even when you have amazing people, further down the organization, there is no communication channel for them to express themselves or share their ideas, and they have paid very dearly for it. And this is what surprises me, Mariama, that we can see the consequences of that kind of mindset. We can see how organizations have paid for
yes,
that kind of mindset, but still we have organizations who are still, you know, perpetrating that kind of mindset. So what do you do? What do you, as an agilist in that organization, what do you do? So, Grace, thank you very much for that. And then Omozua says, psychological safety surely calls for neuro agile brains on all levels. Absolutely, Omozua. Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. Omozua is into neuro agile brain stuff. She was our guest on this show when we were talking about being the CEO of your brain. That's a very good show
Yes.
that you, if you haven't seen it, you need to watch that. She did a great job there. Yes, indeed, yes, leveraging your people, slowing down, holding the space to create safe space to share. Absolutely. And that also goes for all of us because I like to believe that we are all leaders in our spaces. We are all leaders in our spaces. It's not just about being, the CEO of Facebook or Google. We are all leaders. In our homes, we are leaders,
Mhm.
in our communities, we're leaders. So we need to also show up with this mindset of
Mhm.
knowing that we are not the expert and we don't have all the answers. And collaboration is the only way out. Is the
Yes.
only way out. Tapping into all this stuff, all the amazing things, people bring to the table. Omozua again says, a brain operating in fear is not productive.
Yes.
Absolutely not. Resourceful or able to perform because it is reactive rather than responding with calm and clarity. Fear robs you of any level of productivity. Totally. Thank you so much, Omozua. So back to my banner. So, Mariama,
Yes.
how can we develop a beginner's mindset? I mean, we've talked about a few things here and there.
Yes.
Share a few tips with us. How can we develop a beginner's
How can
mindset?
you develop the beginner's mindset? One, slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
One, challenging ourselves when we set expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you set expectation, more than likely that's the result what you're going to get.
Right.
So question that. Where is that coming from?
Where
How
is
can
it?
you shift that? What are other ways can you come up with come up with a solution or a challenge to solve that challenge? Slowing down, listening inward, and connect with others.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out to others.
Mm-hmm.
Have a
I like that.
conversation with others,
Mm-hmm.
and listen. If you ask, listen, and talk
Yeah.
less.
Talk less. I like that. And I like what you said at the very beginning. You said to be like a child. So I guess that's one of the things we can also do.
Yes.
To be children again. Have a child's mindset,
Be
asking
curious.
questions, being
Yes, be
curious. I like that.
curious. Be curious. Tell me
Hmm.
more. Tell me more
Hmm.
about that.
Hmm.
Say more about that.
Hmm.
That's interesting.
Be
If you ask me,
curious.
yes, yes, be
Carry
curious.
people along. Ask questions. What else?
And know your limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Know your limitations. Know you don't have all the answers. And it's
Hmm.
okay not to have all the answers.
It's okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay not to have all
Mm,
the answers. And give
mm,
yourself the grace.
mm, mm,
Give
mm,
yourself the grace and
mm-hmm.
not to know the answers. And look for the answers. That's a beginner's mindset.
In particular, I like this slowing down. I really love this slowing down. And I hope our audience are listening. I love this slowing down. And the reason I love this slowing down is that sometimes we go into autopilot. We go into that autopilot mode without even realizing it. Without even realizing it. And as you were talking about slowing down, I was reminded of a phase in my life,
Mm,
where I was on autopilot, just doing and doing and doing.
mm,
And then one day I stopped doing. And in being in that autopilot mode, I had success, but I could have been much more successful if I slowed down.
mm,
But I didn't slow down. It was eventually age in a way that slowed me down. So for me,
mhm,
that is a very powerful message, slowing down. Because sometimes we think going at the speed of light is the answer. It's not always the answer. It is not. So I like that slowing down. Our audience are saying something. Let's see what they're saying. I'm just going to just a moment. Comments. Just trying to see. Avoid judging people. Give people the benefit of doubt. Absolutely, Grace. Give people the benefit of doubt. And Ibrahim is saying perhaps yes to some of the strategies you talked about. And Julie also said yes, thank you very much. Avoid being judgmental, absolutely. Slowing down, I really, really like that. And I'm speaking from my personal experience, even though it wasn't so much an expert issue, but slowing down is so beneficial. Spending time on our own, um, taking a moment to be in the present, all of that, I believe, can help us to have that beginner's mindset. Taking a walk, like you said, you know, um, in the last few years, I've had to do a whole lot to get myself to where I am.
Mhm.
And I say to everyone, learning is a lifelong activity. And I always approach things today not with the speed of light. I step back.
Mhm.
What's about to happen here? You know, I'm grateful for being in this agile space. I'm so grateful for it. And I know you feel that way too,
Yes.
because not only has it benefited me professionally, it has, I have grown personally, you know, and it has changed my approach to life. I do a lot of things, but I do them slowly. It's
Yes.
funny, right? I do a whole lot. I'm a very, very busy woman. But because of my maturity and that slowing down to move fast, I have achieved a whole lot. And I hope that, for someone who does Tai Chi, when I say slowing down, you know exactly what I'm saying. You know even
Yeah.
more what I'm saying than I. And Julie says, how do we slow down when work asks so much of us? I love that question. I love
Oh
it.
my goodness. Thank you for that question, Anjali. That actually, I was going to go back to the expectations you have set to the technology world, that every couple weeks or so we have a new shiny object. That is an expectation that we have created for
Mm,
ourselves
mm,
globally. It's not just individualistic, or it's not just to particular organizations. This is really globally, to set this high expectation that we're going to turn things around every so frequently. We can
mm.
still change that. We can still change that.
Absolutely. And sometimes, I mean, I've forgotten the title of the book. And I think it's called The Build Trap. Yeah, that's the book. The Build Trap. It's a book you need to read. It's a book every agilist should read. But I can't remember the author right now. And unfortunately, it's not close by. We're just busy doing. We're just busy churning and churning and churning. But where is the value of our doing? Okay, where is the value? So, and Julie, there's so much asked of us. I agree with you. Is we live in a capitalist society today. Everything is profit, profit, profit. And to a great extent, I'm happy COVID slowed us down
Yes.
somehow in a way. And one thing I say to people is, if we haven't learned anything from COVID, then I don't know when we're going to learn. So it's about value. It's not just about being busy.
Yes.
So, Angeli, it's about value. So, when we go back to our organizations and we are busy doing, let's ask ourselves, where is the value? Because is everything we're doing adding value? I mean, I know you know this, Mariama. About 50% of the software we churn out are not even used.
Exactly.
They are
Exactly.
not even used. Meanwhile, some, boss somewhere has almost asked for blood to get those things out. Okay. So we need to question the way we work. We need to question what really adds value. So for me, that's what I will add to what Mariama
Yeah.
has just said. These are expectations we put on ourselves, just doing and doing. We're so output focused as opposed to
Yes.
being outcome focused. So,
Yes.
Anjuli, I hope I'm responding to your question as well as Mariama. So that is, we need to change that thinking. Have a relationship with yourself. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely, Grace. Having a relationship with ourselves. So yeah, there's. I hope you have all taken one or two things from our conversation today. Mariama, I've really enjoyed chatting with you. We're
Thank
coming
you.
to the top of the hour. I have really, really enjoyed chatting with you. Ibrahima says, thank you for recommending the book, The Build Trap. Absolutely, it's a great book. Every agilist should read that book because um, we're trying to create work environments that are human driven, not profit driven, not task driven. And we want to stop seeing people as resources. People are people, they are not
Yes.
resources, right?
Yes.
And, you know, if we tap more into,
Mhm.
people, if we create more humane, um or should I say normalize, I like the way, I think it was Obi James that put it that way, normalizing humanity in our workspaces, we will actually get more from people.
Exactly.
We will get more from people as opposed to being a boss that is, with a slave driver mentality, output oriented. We will get more because when, like Omozua said, when we create that space of fear, you block people's creativity,
Yes.
isn't it? You block it. But when you create a safe environment, like Mariama was saying earlier on, we tap into different perspectives
Hmm.
and we're able to get more from our people. Okay. Thank you, Anjuli. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you both for an amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ronke, for being here too. Mariama, I wish you all the best in what you want to do. Now, tell us about what you might want to do for Guinea, West Africa. Give us
Yes.
a hint. What will you want to
I
do for Guinea?
I would love to add value in the education system, whether if it's elementary school, middle school, let's say education. I would love
Right.
to bring Agile to shift the mindset in some way, in the smallest way possible. Coaching, just so that we're up to speed with the
Mm-hmm.
24th century. I would love to collaborate
Absolutely.
with other Agilists in the Francophone community. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to connect with you. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would love to create a dialogue, a conversation, just to see how we can collaborate to make a small impact in some way, in somehow. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I like the way you said small impact because you see, we can't change the world. We can't change the world. And I'm not under an illusion that I or anybody can change the world, but collectively, we can do our little bit
Yes.
within our sphere of influence, and that will go a long way. Like when I started this show, I didn't think it was going to be a show with 10,000 people watching. If I can just influence one person, if I
Mm.
can just impact the life of one person, I would have done my job. And I think that is the mindset we should bring to the table for things like this, to say it's about that one person, you know,
Mhm.
just my sphere of influence, what I can do to impact and change lives. And we're trying our best on this platform. And all I can say, Mariama, is that I'm happy our paths crossed. I'm happy we're having this conversation right here, right now. And I wish you all the very best. And I'm always just a text message away. And please, if you're watching, Mariama is looking for agilists in the francophone area that she can link up with and collaborate with. Because at the end of the day, Africa needs to arise again, and it takes everybody to get the job done. So, to our audience, as always, thank you all so much for spending your Sunday evening with me. Mariama, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being
Thank
my
you.
guest on Sincerely
Thank you so
Agile with
much.
Mary. You have made my evening. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Thank you for
So
the
see you
platform.
all again next week. Next week we have Andrea Pratt Smith, and she's an awesome lady in the Caribbean. She's going to be our guest, and we're going to be talking about agile communities. So please join us if you can, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye
Thank you
bye,
so much.
everybody. Bye
Have a
bye. Thank
wonderful
you,
evening.
Mariama.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.